Alright, so where do we begin? I was looking back at, you did this a couple years back, you did this interview thing. And it was basically like you interviewing yourself, where you did like the editing thing where you like cut yourself in twice, and it was just like a conversation between you and yourself. And I remember seeing it for the first time and thinking like I was thinking like, what an asshole, like yeah, what an asshole, who does that? And then on second thought I was like, it's kind of funny though, it's funny, there's something funny about it. Yeah. And then as we met each other and we connected and we started working together, I got to know you better and we started writing. I kind of gained a different insight on, obviously a different insight on you and your work, but I gained a different insight on like that video specifically, you know? Because at first, like, seeing it, it's kind of like, who does like this guy think he is to do this like weird, who does the weird interview with himself? It's like, it feels like it's like a public, it feels like a circle jerk, like masturbating yourself in public in a way, you know? But after, you know, especially because like, yeah, because it is like, no one knows this guy and he does an interview like with himself. It's very off-putting. But the more I got to know like about the work, it's about your work itself and like about you and working with you, I gained a different understanding for this interview thing specifically. Because your work is fairly like introspective, right? So thinking of that, it makes the video, it changes the interview thing a lot, because then it isn't like just you interviewing yourself, it is just interviewing yourself for, you know, for the fun of it. Then it becomes a thing of like, oh, he interviewed himself because he is the only person that can talk to him. Then it becomes like, in a way, it becomes a sad thing. It becomes a thing of like, oh, this guy is isolated of some sort, and it's like so in his head about his work and about who he is that there is no other person than himself that can like truly talk to him on this level that he needs to figure out like certain things. And I think the product of that was that interview thing, where it was like, where you know, Jews interviewing Jews. And that was very interesting to me, man. And that kind of leads us to today, where I was like interested in, you know, asking you some questions, you know. Hopefully I can ask you some questions that you would have asked yourself in a way, you know? Yeah, so we just finished a book a couple months ago, and I think it was a great process. I think we did like good work on it. But like, where does that leave you now? What are you doing? What are you into right now? Like, what's the move after finishing a thing like that? Like, I'm interested in kind of seeing like what the process is like. What's the next thing where you're interested in doing next? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's difficult, I guess, to pinpoint. The book took a long time, man. I don't think even like my first book that I've ever wrote, I took so much time to write it. It was a lot more in depth and like complicated than a lot of other things that I've written. So I was very preoccupied with that with that book. But what I'm into right now, I don't know. I'm trying to learn guitar again. I'm very into that right now. I like that. I love that actually. I think like of all like the things that I've done in art and like practice and like try my hand on, I'm by far the worst at playing guitar. I'm like very horrible at it. It's very bad. Very bad rhythm and everything. Like my fingers don't move like they should. It's very bad. But I've been enjoying a lot. Just like sitting back on like the couch and like watching a movie or like a YouTube video and just like figuring it out and like strumming like the same song for like 2 months straight up and like badly playing like the same song. But it feels very cool. It feels very good. It feels cool. I like it a lot. It feels similar to when I first like started to figure out my style in painting, where like it was very bad, but it felt right. So I've really been enjoying, I've been really enjoying strumming around badly on the guitar. I tried singing while playing, but that's impossible. I don't get how that works quite. Like my right strumming hand, it just stops it. But yeah, it's practice, I guess. But I enjoy that. I practice a little every day. Amazingly fun. It's like the greatest thing ever, man. Yeah. You know, looking back at your work, like, and on your body of work, like as a whole thing, like across genres, there's always been a certain like weight. There's been weight through it all. It's like a heavy, like, it's not always heavy, but like every piece in your body of work has a certain weight to it. It's like very felt. But what I've been seeing in like the last, months, year or so, I feel like that weight has kind of like grown like exponentially. Like it feels more, there's more weight to a lot of what are you doing right now. And so I guess because you're such like an introspective, like at heart I guess like, have you an explanation where the weight comes from, or like what is it that you're thinking about at the moment that can like, what you think that, what's like on your mind in the moment that can give the work such a weight, such a palpable weight right now? Yeah, I get it. I can follow. I don't know. I wonder too about it, where like the weight comes from. Because I remember when I did my last bigger exhibition, like in 23. I remember people walking in and like talking to me about like, it feels like the pressure in the room, like the pressure in the room changes when like my work is in there. And I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with that weight thing. It's like, I don't know where it comes from, like what it is. I guess in the end, I guess everything like that's honest has a certain weight to it, to a degree. And honest doesn't mean right, obviously, but it's honesty, that's good. So I'm not quite sure where like that weight comes from. And especially, I don't know why it got like, I don't know. I guess like as you get older and as you work longer at a certain thing, at a certain craft, you get like more in depth and you get more introspective by the nature of it. You get more introspective. You get more into it. You think more about like what's your relationship with it, how you feel about it. And I think that naturally gives it more weight, you know, I guess. As far as what I'm thinking about a lot, you know, I'm thinking about a million things at a time, all times. But my mind's been very preoccupied very preoccupied with thinking about love and stuff. Unconditional love, I've been thinking a lot about that. And just, you know, how it works and the relations to it. And especially thinking about, you know, yeah, I don't know, that's private, I guess. That's private, like, but that's just, I've been thinking a whole lot about, you know, love and the feelings that are adjacent to it and the logistics of love and all that stuff. That's been very on my mind. You know, we've been working together like for a while now, but the way we work together is that we write separately and then we get together, we go over the writing and see what works and what doesn't work. So I don't have like that much of an insight on your process in writing. I think I have some insight on your painting process because you do like these time-lapse video things, so you kind of, so you sped up, but you kind of can see, trace back the steps of how you got to the final product. But I'm always kind of been wondering, what is the idea, what is the process behind you writing? Because especially because of the emotional weight, and there's like, I don't know, there's like so much emotional weight behind it, and it seems very thought through. Like every piece of writing, every poem seems very thought through and like layered. So how do you, what's the process behind that, I guess? Writing process. It's, I don't know, I don't have a writing, I don't know if I can say I have like a fixed writing process kind of deal. I know sometimes I like to read these, sometimes they release these daily routines of writers, like the Hunter S. Thompson thing goes like viral every couple months, because he's doing like all the drugs in the world throughout the day. And he has like this set thing, I don't remember the time, but it was like some crazy time, like from 11 till like 2 a.m. is like his writing time, where he just like goes in the office and writes. And I can do that, I can like designate time and like sit down and I can write, and it's gonna be things that are gonna be okay and gonna be good that come out. But for me, it's always been more of just going through day-to-day life, and like pieces of poems, and like even whole poems will just come to me, because you will just see things and they will remind you of something, or they'll like, oh, that kind of looks like this, and then it's like bang in your head, oh, that's a poem. So I always carry like a notebook with me. I always have a notebook either in my pocket or in my backpack. So I can just go throughout the day. If I have something, if I have like an idea for something, I have something, I'll just, scribble it down. 5 minutes later, it's a new poem. It's very, it's very instinct. It's like more like instinct than you think it is. I don't know. I don't know what people imagine it looks like when I'm writing. Cause by the time it's released in a book, I've been like probably like so sick of the poem already, even if it's like very good. But yeah, it's very instinctive. It's just walking around, like riding the train, riding buses. And then out of nowhere the thought comes, and then it's like, oh, is this thought worth writing down? Yes, no. Just write it down and create a poem from it. And then afterwards, of course, like once I have enough poems, or if I think it's time to write a new book, I just go through the notebook, type all the poems up on the computer, and rearrange them. It's from the fucking new book done, dude. World-changing poetry. Fucking just like that. But yeah, I think about it now, I think people think I spent more time on it than I do. Because like in my mind there's like the thoughts are always racing, and there's always like a million thoughts, and like half of them are like poems or like painting ideas that are like from racing through my mind. So by the time I catch one of the thoughts and write them down, they're probably like been there for like months. So that's why like they come out as like almost fully formed poems like on my first try, because they've been like shooting around my brain for so long. I guess that's as much of like an answer I can give you when it comes to writing process. I guess kind of on the same. Kind of on the same thought. It's how do you balance the emotions like when writing? Because a lot of it is deeply personal and like loaded with all these emotions. So how do you go about like that in particular? How do you balance it? Like, how do you not get overwhelmed by like these feelings that you're describing or that you're feeling in a way? Honestly, I don't know if there's a way for me to balance my emotions, especially when it comes to art. I've kind of had this like open nerve policy where it was just like, just be open, let everything happen, like feel every feeling as like potent and as like real as you can. So it becomes very overwhelming a lot. Like I'm overwhelmed almost at all times because of it, because I am constantly writing in a sense. So I'm in this constant state of being overwhelmed by like all my emotions and stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's a way to balance the emotions. For me, I guess. Obviously people can do. Maybe if I take a prolonged like absence from creating something, from art, I probably in that time I could like somehow balance the emotions, I think. But to create, man, I don't think so. Because it would, I don't know. Because it would like leave me. It's tough. It's a good question. But I don't think there's a way to do it. Because balancing most of the time means to kind of like keep the bad emotions. The way people use it mostly is about like keeping like the quote unquote bad emotions kind of in check. But it would feel so like disingenuous to not allow myself to feel the bad stuff as much as the good stuff. And then of course there's like the rebuttal of like, yeah, but you almost never write about good stuff. It's always bad, it's all sad songs. It's like, yeah, that's fair. But that's just how I feel, honestly. So I don't see, yeah. No, I think balance is good, it's important. But I think people need to realize or accept that like balance doesn't always look the same. You know? Yeah, your like catalog is very big. You've done a lot of work and you done a lot of work in short time. Are there pieces that like stand out? Are there pieces that like stand out in a certain way as maybe not? It's probably I don't want to say that like that your favorites are the best, but are there pieces that like stand out as like more important to you, like in whichever way you want to take that, like personal importance or like cultural? But are there like pieces, a couple pieces where you're like, yeah, these are like very important to you? Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah. I care about all the pieces that I've done, like my whole body of work. But of course, there are like standout pieces that, for one reason or another, like mean a lot or mean more than other things. Post Intimacy comes to mind, of course. It's probably like my favorite pieces of writing that I've ever done are like all inside Post Intimacy. I think it's like the best thing. It's the best complete thing, like maybe like a series of paintings or whatever. A book is like the best like compact thing that I've done. I think by far. Is very important to me. Like the context of it, of course, is important. There's not just the writing is like important. It's amazing. I love it. It's my favorite thing ever. But like the context of it also, like how I made it and like why I made it and like for who I made it, like the feelings that I felt doing it, and it's fucking. I think it's very much like, it's the most important thing I've done, I think. It's the thing that means the most to me. And besides that, I don't know. I'm doing this blaxploitation series right now, which I like very much. That's also, I like that a lot, but that's not, and I think there's importance and like gravity to it, but there's a whole different thing because that's way more it's introspective like everything, but blaxploitation aims more. It uses introspection as a tool to talk about the world at large and about people at large and about artists at large. So that's why I like the blaxploitation series, and I think there's like, and it's important to me because it kind of is a natural like offspring to the type of introspective art that I've been enjoying so much doing. But yeah, from Nothing Beats Post Intimacy. That's fucking greatest thing I've ever done. Reading, especially reading your poetry, you can see it in paintings, you can see it in a lot of paintings too, to be fair. But I feel like especially in your poetry, you can sense and like read out this very dysfunctional relationship with art and like the process of it in itself. Can you give me a little bit more insight into that? Like, what is your relationship with painting and writing and creating art?
Dysfunctional is a good way to describe it, I guess. Because, I mean, it is. I've talked to artists about it before. Not too many of like, I don't know. It's tough. It's difficult, for sure. Because at the end of the day, like, I love art. Like, I love art more than like fucking anything. It's like so much. It's even like deeper than love. It's just like I don't ever need to think about art because it's like all that it's like breathing. It's second nature, you know. I can't stop my brain from like thinking in poetry, and like I can stop my eyes from like seeing like these neo-expressionist paintings. It's just like I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. So there's like this very deep connection that I have with it, which makes me love it like so much. Dude, this is like the greatest thing of all time, and at the same time the worst, I guess. Because I do think there's like a certain thing where I don't know. As much as I love it, I think there's like, and as much, I think art has like ultimately done like more hurt to me than it has done good. But I love it so much, and it's like, it's just what I am. It's like I am part of this art thing. That there's like I said, there's no way to stop it. It's just, stopping doing art would be stopping to exist, in a way. So you kind of take the hurt. You know, you take the hurt and like you go on. I do think it did some like very bad stuff to me. And yeah, I do think it did some it did some damage along the way for sure. But hey man, it doesn't make me love it any less.
You know, across all your disciplines and like your whole body of work, there are reoccurring themes, kind of like overarching themes. I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate and like give more insight in how like these particular themes, how they manifest in like in what you do, how they manifest in your art, as well as how did they mold you as an artist to become the person that you are right now?
Themes, yeah, I mean the themes aren't like hard to detect. It's like loneliness is a big theme. Love has become a bigger theme in like the last 10 months or so, 10 months to a year. Hope has always been a big theme in the arts. Despair has been a big theme. The act of creating has been a big theme. Mental anguish has been a big theme, like pain in general. And I guess like to a degree existentialism is always a big theme. And I think these are just things I think if you look at any artist and dissect and see like recurring themes in their work, there's just always things that have been with that certain artist even before they started creating. So I think then they just naturally, like through introspection and like figuring out their style and what they want to talk about, like these themes that have always followed them kind of show up in their works. And obviously over time, like there's new things coming in, maybe you drop some themes. So I don't think it's that deep with the themes, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, themes, it's just good, can like more insight into the themes. I don't know. I would like to think it's self-explanatory, but then on the other hand, it's not, because I have so many I have like conversations about certain things that I've wrote or painted, and I'm just like, oh man, these people, like, they don't get it at all. They see something so different. So I don't know, the loneliness, I don't know where it comes from. Often I describe it as kind of like some claw around my neck, or like a hand reaching into a hole in my gut. Because it's a weird thing with things like that, where the loneliness is probably the most difficult thing, because it shows its face in such like depraved ways, man. Very depraved. Because when I'm like in the studio or like at the apartment on the couch alone, I can cope with the loneliness. It's always been there. I can cope with it. I can figure it out, man. It's not a problem. The problem kind of comes when you're like hanging out, and when I hang out and I'm like with like my friends and like the people that I love, or with like artists that I love and respect, and then then the loneliness comes. Then it's like, man, because when I'm alone, it's like I'm isolated. I'm alone. I'm supposed to feel lonely. But I'm supposed to feel lonely to a degree. But then when I'm like around people and I love them and they love me, and I still feel like the same loneliness, then it's like, oh, it's dark, man. That's not good. It's like, it shouldn't be here right now. It should be fun. It should be, because I get love. I see the love. I get the love, but the loneliness is there, man. It makes you isolated in the crowd. And I think this is like a very like this is a very, I don't know, it's a heavy thing to carry around at all times. That no matter how many people there are, and no matter how many people there are that care and you care about them, that the loneliness just doesn't leave. It's it's heavy, man. The other thing, I don't feel like there's like, I don't know, like anyone. I don't think there's a single writer that hasn't been obsessed with love. You know, it's fucking the best thing ever. So you write about it, because you write about it because you don't have it and you want it. You write about it because you have it, and you just, words, like regular words, conversations aren't enough to express how amazing love is. But then like you lose it, or like something happens to the love, and then it's all about, man, this is this great thing, and now it's gone, and now it's hell. So I guess everyone writes about love, everyone strives for it. So it's kind of, yeah. You know, pain, fucking despair, is fucking, that's boring. It's very boring. It just leads to like the same sad songs. Hope is, you know. I don't know about hope. I think I'm a lot more hopeful than people think or like to give me credit to. Because they just see me, they just see the sad songs and they just see me talk about the despair and the pain. Which fair, yeah. But they don't realize that, I mean, I have all these things and I'm so honest about how I feel and like about not wanting to be here a lot of the time. Most of the time. They don't realize how much like hope I still have, like going through all this pain to still like, I still like go to bed and like be like, hey man, it hasn't been good for the last, I don't know, 14 years. Maybe tomorrow is like the day where things look better. Like I'm hopeful to a fault, I think, a lot of the time. I feel like being hopeful a lot of the time like fucking put me back on my ass. A lot of the time, but I don't know, it's hope is all there is, man. It's all that matters and it's all there is. Even if you're hopeful to a default like me. Like I still think, you know, the world is going to shit. I still think we're figuring it out, I think. Like that's being how hopeful to a default I am. I think, well, I don't think the world's gonna end. I think we're gonna like figure it out, man. I think we're gonna stop something and make it work. And that's not even that's a delusion to a point, but that's the way that I have to carry hope, I guess. To just like keep on going. What do you think? So, what do you think your future is gonna be like? What's the future of Jews? Because you are just like as contemporary as it gets. It's like very set in the present and like talking about right now. And then there are aspects of like reflecting on the past, but there's almost nothing. I can think of like one or two pieces that are kind of like discussing possible futures, but there's like nothing that hints at the future. You're very in the now and like doing meditations on the past. So I was wondering, what do you imagine? Like, what's the future like for you? What's the future of Jews? Ooh, the future. That's kind of a sore subject right now, man. If you asked me around this time a year ago, I would have been like, I don't have a future, man. I don't want a future. I can think about a future. Like, when I thought about the future, and it's still sometimes now, I just kind of see this, you know, when like old TVs didn't have a signal and you get like the snow thing. That was like my mind when I was thinking about the future. Like, I couldn't perceive anything in the future. Like, I couldn't see a thing. I was just, it just was non-existent. Now for like the past, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, I started, for the first time ever, I started being like, getting like kind of glimpses of like what the future could be like. And for the first time, and during that time also for the first time, I was like, hey, maybe I want to be around a little bit longer than previously thought. Maybe I do want to kind of get older. So I'm not the best person to ask about the future because I've only been like starting to get like little glimpses of what the future could be 4 months ago, man. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I hope like whatever it is like calm, you know? I would like it to be calm, and I would like to still be doing all the creative stuff that I'm doing now. And what I really like, if there's a thing that always like very impressed me, and I was always like, that's fucking sick. You can see with like older like authors that primarily did like essays and like articles and stuff. And funny enough, you can also see the same thing with like rock and like punk rock people. Once they get older, they do these like things where they do their act, you know, they read some of their stuff, or like they perform 1 or 2 songs, but like a large part of the show is them sitting on stage and like telling old stories, like from the, I don't know, from like the 90s and the punk rock scene in Seattle, or fucking what New York was like in the 70s. And they start sharing like their perspectives on art and like the philosophies that they have gained, and you know, from cool ass stories, man, about the old days. So it's not even something that I can't imagine for myself, but I would be like, but when I see them do it, it kind of is like, that makes sense. Makes very much sense. It would make sense if I ever was old and people still care about art, about my art. That would maybe be something that makes sense. Just, you know, fucking stand on stage and waste people's time with fucking ancient talks about art, man. Yeah. After everything is done, after all is, you know, after you're gone, after you've written everything you wanted to write, painted all the things, how would you like to be remembered, you know? How would you like to be remembered after you're gone? I don't know. To be fair, I don't even know if I want to be remembered. I didn't want to be remembered for a very long time. We're just like very like, you know, it's very edgy, like child bullshit. Like I don't even want to be remembered, dude. But like as I get older every year, I'm kind of more like thinking about like what is going to be left when I'm gone, and like what the memory of me will be. And there's of course like the memory along the people, like the human memory that people gonna have of me, and like the things that I've done with people. But there's a lot of thought lately about like, you know, what impact is like the body of work going to have? How is that going to be remembered? Is it going to be just like something that's going to be, you know, another drop in the bucket? It's going to get like lost, and if you knew of me and if you knew me, you're like, oh, that's good, and if not, it's nothing? Or like, is it going to be a thing where is it going to be like remembered with like the greats, like it feels like it's hubris, like to think about it, but like, maybe, you know, maybe it's gonna be remembered with like the greats, like with the fucking Plaths and fucking Patti Smith and, you know, Bukowski. That's cool. That would be cool. The Baldwins. Probably the Baldwin. That's why. That's one thing I can tell you. When I was like a little bit, a couple years ago, I was very into writing essays and stuff a lot more. I am getting kind of into it back again now. But then I was like very into it, like very obsessed with the thought I wanted to be remembered. Like James Baldwin is remembered because I love him and his writing so much. But then I had a moment at some point where I was like, yeah, man. It's like, yeah, but James Baldwin never was on Twitter like making penis jokes. It's like, it doesn't matter how good my writing becomes, it's like, it's not going to be remembered the same way if like, in the same breath as like, a fucking cool like essay as like the swordsman allegory is going to be mentioned in the same breath as like, oh yeah, then he had like that one, he had that one tweet. Yeah, so yeah. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be James Baldwin, but then I realized I'm a lot dumber and I'm a lot dumber and I enjoy and I enjoy the dumb things, I guess, so much to remember like that. Yeah, so I don't know how I will be remembered or how I want to be remembered. Part of me doesn't want to be remembered, so it's all kind of like just finally ends, so it's all gone. And there's like nothing left. That's cool. I would like that. And then on the other side, part of me is like, has these fucking grandiose like thoughts of like, oh, I want to be remembered like the greats, man. I hope they say my name in the same vein as like insert all my heroes that fucking died and killed themselves. So yeah, it's a difficult question. I really don't know. It's like every day I have another conflicting answer, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. It's very insightful. Well, thank you for your time. It's very insightful. Fun thing to do. Interested to see how everything like comes together. But what I think now, for the end maybe, if you're up to it, maybe it would be fun if we each read a poem. Just kind of encapsulate the whole spirit and everything of what we did today, And instead of, obviously I want you to read like one of yours. And I'm also gonna read one of yours that I've recently like saw that I thought was very, very like interesting. And one of my favorites at the moment of yours. So if you don't mind, I would like to read it to you. The poem is called Three-Winged Bird in the Mirror. Blades of grass like broken glass, shattered dreams and public self-medication. Self-reflection resembling public humiliation. Broken hearts, wordy poetry and a desperate Buddhist monk. Virgin whiskey on ice and chocolate cigarettes. Ink that never dries. A giant hole in my gut, suicidal ideation, perpetual hope. Dark glasses, not to be blinded by her light. A manic depressive with grand delusions, misery and comfort. Empty rush hour trains, a wise junkie, an out of tune guitar, and biblical allegories. Agnostics drinking tea and notebooks filled of me. A beat poet praised, a black cat wailing in the afternoon, like a soul without a home. A three-winged bird in the presence of a goddess, desperate ramblings of the soul resembling a poem. Yeah, this one. I really like that one. So if you don't mind, would you choose one of yours too to read? No?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good idea, for sure. I read you something. I don't know. What's like the vibe? What's the vibe? I guess to sum everything up. I'll read you something. I wrote something today. I read that. Okay. The poem is called "Shooting Star." I think kind of sums everything up, man. It's perfect. All right. Shooting star. I'm like a shooting star, baby. Like I always wanted to be. It's a beautiful sight, I'm sure it is. But I'm burning out, baby. The bigger the flames, the prettier the picture. But it's hell, and I can't stomach the heat. The pens have melted months ago. This is charred coal I'm writing you with. I'm burning out. I can't even see my feet anymore. It's pretty from afar, I'm sure, but soon my soul will all be that is left. I'm like all my heroes after all, baby. A shooting star burning out, brighter than the sun. Yeah.